How to write an introductory paragraph. This video explains the process required for writing introductory paragraphs for research papers and essays. Every writing assignment, such as an essay or research paper, requires an introduction before jumping into whatever it is you plan to discuss. For short papers, anywhere from 300 to 750 words, for example, normally just one introductory paragraph is required. The introduction should be the first paragraph of the writing assignment. For long papers, it may be necessary to write multiple introductory paragraphs. However, this video will discuss how to write a single introductory paragraph for essays or research papers that require you to analyze a primary source such as a story, play, poem, article, or essay. Since the introduction is the first paragraph, this is usually the first part of the paper that you will write, and that blank page may seem like a blank canvas to you. Where do you start? First, make sure you know what your thesis sentence is. Remember that a thesis sentence is one complete sentence, not a fragment, that states the focus of your paper. For this video exercise, we will assume you are writing a paper about the story Salvation by Langston Hughes, and your thesis sentence is as follows. The adult's reaction in the story affect Hughes's interpretation of the events. The thesis is a required element of the introductory paragraph, so it is critical that you know what your thesis sentence is before you start writing. Another important element that you need to have before writing too much is the title of your paper. Do not write something like Essay 1 as your title. Make sure the title is unique and connects to your topic. To go along with our sample thesis, we could use a title like this, Finding Salvation. You can change this later, but since a title is required, it is a good idea to add it before you start your first paragraph. Also, this means that your page is no longer blank. Once you have a title and a thesis sentence, you are ready to start writing. Hold on to your thesis sentence because you will need that soon, but first, begin your paragraph by stating the title of the primary source you will discuss in your paper, the author's name, and a brief description of it. Again, using the story Salvation as an example, you could start your introductory paragraph with a sentence like this. Salvation by Langston Hughes is a short story about the author when he is 12 years old. Once you have your first sentence, you will need a few more that briefly describe the work. Do not overdo it though. Do not try to describe or retell the entire story. You are just reminding your audience about what you plan to discuss, and you have to assume your audience is already familiar with the text. Here are a few more sample sentences that could follow the first sentence and continue to briefly describe the story Salvation without explaining every single event that happens in the story. In the story, Hughes describes how his aunt takes him to a church revival. The church schedules a special evening for children to attend, and the adults of the congregation are eager to help them become saved. Hughes is excited about attending, but confused about what his aunt and the other adults expect from him. At this point in our sample introductory paragraph, we have 4 sentences. Remember, this is just an introduction, not the entire paper. So for a short paper, you do not need a huge introductory paragraph. Now you are ready to add the thesis, and this usually works well as the last sentence of this paragraph, since it will help you transition into the next paragraph of your paper. Try to make sure the previous sentence transitions into your thesis. This may require you to add or alter some of the sentences you have already written. Remember, this is our thesis. The adult's reactions to the story affect Hughes's interpretation of the events. Now let's add that to the other sentences and include a transition into the thesis. Salvation by Langston Hughes is a short story about the author when he is 12 years old. In the story, Hughes describes how his aunt takes him to a church revival. The church schedules a special event for children to attend, and the adults of the congregation are eager to help them become saved. Hughes is excited about attending, but confused about what his aunt and the other adults expect from him. As a result, the adults' reaction in the story affect Hughes's interpretation of the events. Notice how I added this transitional phrase to the thesis, as a result. This helps you move more smoothly into the thesis. When writing your introductory paragraph, here are a few reminders. The introductory paragraph is the first paragraph of your paper. Add a unique title before starting the first paragraph. Come up with a thesis sentence before starting the first paragraph. Include the title of the work discussed and the author's name. Very briefly describe the work without giving a detailed summary of it. Include the thesis somewhere in the introductory paragraph. Finally, here are some problems to avoid when writing an introductory paragraph. Do not summarize the entire primary work that you plan to discuss. Remember that you have to assume you have a knowledgeable audience. Do not include your topic sentences in your introductory paragraph. They should be in the body of the paper. Otherwise, the paper will sound repetitive and wordy. Do not write an introductory paragraph that is longer than the body of your paper. It should be fairly brief and to the point. Do not provide personal opinion or critique the quality of the primary work. Stay on topic. By following the procedure described in this video, and with a little practice, that first paragraph will not be a daunting black canvas.